friend of mine sent me this RGO-ONE for evaluation and just to play around with. So here it is. And I'm going to try to look at this from a CW operator's perspective. I don't even have the mic for it, but I am a CW operator. And so that's really what I care about. And I heard this is a pretty good radio for CW. So let's just kind of go through it and look at some of the menu items and some of the controls and play with the side tone and maybe even make a QSO or try to make one. This is a 50 watt rig. That's the maximum power. And it's got a couple of little fans on the back to keep it cool. The base price is $932 US, and then 80 bucks for shipping from Bulgaria. The tuner is $165 option. So you wind up just about 1,200 bucks invested in this. Just from observation, this tuning knob is weighted and it's quite smooth. Actually coast a bit, kind of feels nice. The knobs, well, they're typical of optical encoders. You know, they got a little play in them. Most of them do. That doesn't matter. They're just plastic knobs. The case is thin metal, and it's got 4 screws holding the lid on there. There's a speaker screwed to the top. Speaker isn't very good. Kind of makes a little tinny, rattly sound. Sort of reminds me of the L-Craft K3. The speaker on that thing was pretty rotten. Nothing like ICOM's speakers. Boy, those things are really, really built. But anyway, so here's your AF and RF concentric controls. This is your RIT, and to use that, you turn it on, and you got a little display here. You can see where you are. This red light tells you it's in operation, and then you turn it off. Yeah, about 3 presses. You go to RIT, XIT, and back off again. And a long press clears it. So you can see the CL there. Over here is your keyer speed and your mic gain. It says key/mic. Monitor, that is both sideband or voice mode monitor, which, by the way, it doesn't do AM, it just does sideband. And it's also your CW side tone. To change those, you hit the button, you push the button in. It says L, and L, of course, means CW side tone. If you hold it in, it becomes N, and of course, N means your voice mode side tone. So I'll put it back in L. Your power is adjustable, and you see P for power, 55. So I don't know why it's 55 instead of 50, but anyway, if you hold the button in, it doesn't change anything. However, from studying this thing, you see the FLT here? That's your filter. Turn your filter on, and this little NAR comes up, means narrow. And we can adjust the filter width now. And you see the little arrows here. See them spread out, get together, and then see there's narrow. That's B1. B for filter, bandwidth maybe. And then we go up to 10. So that's maximum bandwidth on the receiver. Well, let's see here. There's the off-on switch. To turn it off, you hold it in until it goes off. And then punch it once to turn it on. The meter changes modes. See, we go from SWR, I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, CMP for compression, SWR, RF for power output, compression, ALC. So I don't know why it's got compression. It's in CW mode. Transmit, that'll put you in transmit mode, and you hold the button in. That's your tuner. So it's now tuned. And it works pretty good. It seems to, handle 3 to 1 or so pretty well. Let's look at these. Now, there's your mic jack, and it's kind of special. It's not wired like a Yaesu or a ICOM, I found out. It's he's got his own little pin out, so the mic that comes with it, little hand mic, plugs in there. If you want to use something else, you're probably going to have to make up an adapter or figure out the pin out on it. I looked at the picture on the manual. That didn't make a whole lot of sense. I think that'd be a real pain trying to get that right, but it could be done. Headphone jack, and on the back is the speaker jack and the key jack. It just got one key jack, and it's for a paddle. If you want to use a straight key, you plug a straight key in, and you got to short out the dot and dash pins on it and go into the menu and change it to straight key. I'm using an MFJ little speaker here, which I like for CW because it seems to resonate at about 700 cycles. And it sounds great on CW. Not too good on sideband, but anyway. The paddle I'm using is a Vibraplex ZN Special. Kind of rare, but it's a big hockey puck. Magnetic springs and all that stuff. The keyer. Built-in keyer. Very bright, annoying little LED. If you're using the RIT, sooner or later that thing will drive you crazy. Look how bright it is. It's really bright. I thought about putting a piece of electrical tape over it or something. Turn it off. So anyway, here's the deal on the keyer. Iambic keyers, typically mode B, which this is set for, have a self-completing dot and dash memory. So therefore, no matter how short I hit the dash or the dit, it'll finish it. It'll start it and finish it. Dash. That seems pretty good. Now let's try this. Here's where you run into trouble. If I send R, what I'm doing is I'm going this way and that way faster than the keyer is sending. So it memorizes that. At least one motion it memorizes. So I never have a problem. But if I go the opposite way, if I do K, see there, if I do K, if I do that real fast, it forgets the last dash. And so that's a bug. And Mr. RGO needs to figure that one out. And I'll try to send CQ. And I'll send C, and the last dash on Q is missing. So I have to make a conscientious effort to try to hold that, because I'm used to mode B, Curtis mode B, which that is supposed to be, but it's not quite there. Let's look at the keyboard here. Here's your mode switch. I'll zoom in on it here. Mode, and if you hold it in, that makes these red things work. So REV is reverse, and that reverses the wires on the paddle. It reverses the upper and lower sideband on CW. Yeah, the paddle thing is in the menu. So I'm in the lower sideband CW, which for some reason, I prefer because when I tune down the band, I want to be able to tune into the signal. I guess I'm used to using an old-fashioned dial or something. But anyway, I changed that to reverse. Mode switch, that goes from CWR to LSB, and that's it. That's all the modes you got. There's your A/B, and it shows both your VFOs. And if you hold it in, A equal B, that'll sync them together. And if you hold this in, puts you in split mode, which is pretty typical. Preamplifier. This is an interesting thing here. The preamplifier gives it a lot of gain. And the S meter is a little, well, I'll show you later. It's a little funky because it'll like read almost zero on a signal that you can hear. And then if you hit the preamp, it'll be S9. So I really don't think it's giving it that much gain, but it sure acts like it. And then you hold it in for attenuation. Here's your band change, up and down. Up, which is on the left, seems a little strange, and down is on the right. So that's kind of like backwards, but whatever. Record and play, that's your sub-function. Doesn't seem to do anything. FST, that is fast, FST. And what that means is changes your tuning rate. So here I'm tuning kilohertz. Here I'm tuning cycles per second, or 1 hertz, and 10 hertz, and so forth. So right there's where I like it. That's about 10 cycles per bump there. Scan, I haven't tried that. NB, noise blanker, nothing. That is an option, and it doesn't seem to have it, and I don't see anything on the website about it being available yet. And of course, level, there's nothing there to level. FLT is filter. It's either in or out. Now, when it's on NAR, see the NAR come up there, that means it's got the variable 4-pole crystal filter kicked in. And of course, like I showed you a while ago, when that's on, you're varying it. So it's just 4 poles. Keep that in mind. RIT, XIT, AGC. That's either fast or slow. If it just says AGC, it's fast. If it says AGCS, it's slow. And you can hold it in, and that's supposed to turn it off. Lock. Let's see if that locks it. Yep, that locks it. All right, and enter, I think you can select your frequency there, key it in, and it'll let you enter a frequency. Okay, looking at the menu, this is your menu number 1, is your tuner, EP. I'm not sure what that means. Anyway, it's on 10. And I haven't really studied some of this stuff. There's your line in. It's got audio in and out. Contrast. That changes your contrast on the display. LED brightness. That's the backlight. It's too bad you can't control these things, these little red things. Color. Oh, this is cool. If you like purple, green, and blue, and there's red. I kind of like the blue better. I'm turning the RIT here to change menus. CPR, I guess it must be, if it's about to die, you give it CPR. Store delay. Now, delay is your break-in speed and or Vox delay, and we're in sideband mode. See, let's go to CW. My delay is set to 0, so that that's full break-in. So let's see, to change these things, you just turn your dial, and that's going, it goes up pretty high. Gain, it's probably your Vox gain or your mic gain. AB, that's your keyer. And there's mode A or mode B right there. That's what I'm in. It's supposed to be Curtis mode B. And there's your ratio. It's actually got a dot to dash ratio. And paddle is reverse because mine's wired backwards from what the manufacturer thought it should be. These codes are memories for your for calling CQ or whatever. Beacon pitch, that's your CW pitch, which I have set for 690. Peak and hold for the meter, squelch. So I think the rest of this stuff is not something that I need to use. DTR, that's your port, serial port, which is USB. So anyway, we'll get out of this menu. And there we are. So let me kick on the antenna and get off the dummy load. And we'll tune around here a little bit. On 40 meters. That's W1AW. Now this is without the narrow filter, so this is about 2.7 or so kilohertz. And there is with the narrow filter, and this is with it all the way open. That's the most narrow position. This will be interesting here. All right. And we know he's on 47.5. I'm in the most narrow position. There's 200 cycles. 300. 400, 500, 600. Barely hear him here. I can tell you this, on a real strong signal, you can still hear the guy 2 kcs away. Now, it's not strong enough to activate the AGC, but you can still hear it. There is an optional audio filter that is supposed to plug in. I looked at it. It plugs in back here, but it's not available. And I guess that at some point it's going to come out, but it is supposed to track with this variable filter. And they would eliminate that. I call this blow-by. It's, let me demonstrate. Let me go back to the dummy load. And let me get on 7025 here. And yeah, I'm in the slow mode here. And here we go. All right. So here I'm transmitting on another transmitter. Big strong signal, 30 over. So here we go. This is, turn the volume up. So I'm up to 2.75, and I can still hear it. I don't know if you can or not. Real high pitch. Anyway, hopefully the audio filter will eliminate this blow-by situation that I call it. So I guess W1AW has signed off. Well, let me see here. I don't know if I can get anybody, but I'll call CQ, or I'll try to with this silly keyer. As you can see, I had trouble sending CQ with that thing. It's pin diode switching, so there's no relay noise. You can probably hear my paddle over the background noise. Yeah, that's kind of embarrassing. I should plug my bug in and use it. Not much on right now. It is 6 o'clock in the evening. I would talk to him, but I don't have all night. Normally I would. Let's try to go a little faster here. One thing about this is the receiver is very quiet. Let me show you here. I can turn the antenna off. And you just don't hear much. Just a gentle hiss in the background. Doesn't have a lot of roaring. Preamp, it's a little louder, but I would say it's one of the quietest receivers I've ever heard, and it doesn't seem to be lacking in sensitivity, but it doesn't have any DSP. This is an old-fashioned rig, actually, by today's standard. I mean, it's a superhet. It's down conversion to a 9 megahertz IF, and it goes through some kind of a little detector and BFO, and you can actually adjust the frequency of the BFO in the service menu if you wanted to, but it's supposed to be factory preset, so I wouldn't mess with it. But anyhow, it's old school, and that part seems to work good. Now the filter skirts are so broad. That's one reason it seems quieter. If it had real steep filter skirts, it'd probably sound a lot noisier. Let's see what's on 20 meters here. Watch what happens with the preamp. Turn it off. It's down to nothing. S9 with it on. That guy's in Italy. Really nice, smooth audio. No thumping and no overshoot on the AGC. So I would use an external keyer, I guess, if I was going to get serious with it. And hopefully he'll get that fixed in a firmware update. There's been a bunch of firmware updates since it came out a few years ago. I don't understand why the audio filter is not out yet. It's just a tiny thing, and it's got a jack back in the back of the chassis to plug it in. So I think I think I've covered all the points that a CW guy would be interested in. So there you go, folks. 73